let's get to our last piece of news before we then move on to the next parts of the show, and that is about Charlotte Flair. At current, there is no plan or intent for Charlotte Flair to appear at All Elite Wrestling. There are many, many reasons for this, and I'm going to go into as much detail as possible. If there's one thing that we've seen a lot of lately, it's wrestlers being very annoyed at Dave Meltzer. Charlotte Flair in particular has quite the history in this field. This week, Meltzer reported that Andrade, Charlotte's partner, wants his entire family to join him in AEW. The names listed included both Ric Flair and Charlotte Flair. As we know, Ric Flair is currently unattached, meaning that once his no-compete clause is expired, he can go pretty much wherever he wants. He could potentially get back into a wrestling ring if he chooses. I think he may be pitching towards that. I don't want to see it. Charlotte Flair, however, is not available. She is on a contract with the WWE for very high money and is considered amongst the most valuable people in the entire company. Almost everyone who works for the WWE has been on the receiving end of a cost-benefit analysis. We've spoken about these ad nauseum when the releases were coming through, because that's the system that Nick Khan has been using to decide who gets released from the company. Now, this does not mean that everybody is looking at potential release just because they've had a cost-benefit analysis. Roman Reigns has been on the end of a cost-benefit analysis. The end result? Damn, this guy's benefit way outweighs his cost. The same can be said of Charlotte. If you'll forgive the Ric Flair role, they're never going to give her up. They're never going to let her down. They're never going to run around and desert her. Andrade, for his part, has poked plentiful fun at Meltzer. I'm never going to argue against him doing this. Meltzer is saying this is what Andrade wants. He wants his whole family to be there with him. There's no way he should be able to say that. How can he know this 100% unless it's from Andrade himself, and Andrade, by poking fun, kind of suggests that's not the case. The situations between Charlotte in WWE and Andrade in AEW are very, very different. To be blunt, and this will touch on some of the NXT conversation we had earlier, the WWE didn't really want Andrade. When he was called up from NXT, it was more a case of getting him out of NXT and out of the way of names such as Drew McIntyre and the Undisputed Era. There was never any real plan for him from start to finish. It was just a case of, okay, get him out of NXT, get him up to the main roster, let's see what we can do with him, because at that time people were still coming straight up after championship reigns. With Charlotte, however, the opposite is true. The entire women's division has been built around Charlotte Flair since 2015. It's been 6 years of Charlotte Flair at the top of the tree, and everybody else sort of falling by the wayside. AEW simply cannot promise her any better than she already has. As tempting as it might be to work with your partner, Charlotte could easily command the right to a limited date contract and spend just as much time with him and her family as she already does. She would also be losing out on spending time with very close friends such as Becky Lynch, AJ Styles, and a number of others who she really does have very strong bonds and connections with. The WWE have sort of earned the right to say, Charlotte Flair works for us, back off. The more that I see reports and rumours like this, the more I wonder what the public interest is in the reporting of it. I'm a journalist who firmly believes in reporting things that are in the public interest. That is the defining characteristic of journalism for me. Public interest, free press. It's one of the reasons I'm so against paywalls just as a natural rule. I don't believe in them because I believe in a free press, because I believe in an informed community. The reason I share the news that I do is to try and inform people so that you know what you need to know about the WWE, about AEW, so that you can make a conscious choice as to whether to support them or not and what to watch. To me, it just comes across as efforts to unsettle Charlotte. Journalism is supposed to be about informing people, and Andrade would like to work with people he likes isn't really something that I see as public interest journalism. Maybe that's just me though. What do you think? Conrad Thompson said in 83 weeks that Rick won't be off TV for long. He won't. Ric Flair is genuinely a draw and a powerful name. Just him walking out and saying woo will sell tickets. Michael says, I don't really think Charlotte would fit in AEW, honestly. Not a shot at her. There are many that I wouldn't think would fit in AEW. I get what you're saying, and I kind of believe you. Nick says, Charlotte going to be in WWE for a very long time, I believe. Me too. I think, personally, her whole career will be WWE. Noob says, I don't want to see Ric Flair in a wrestling match in 2021. I remember Tully in a match at AEW. That's embarrassing. Yeah, we need to move on from that one. We do need to. Bailey says, there was a story from Wrestle Edge today. The Ric Flair wants to have a match in AEW. How likely safe is that given he is 72 and has prior medical conditions? It's not, really. It's not. I personally am not aware that he's actually desperately trying to make that happen. We'll wait and see. Remember that. What I want you to do is remember that. Okay? And then we'll know whether Wrestle Edge can be trusted. Everyone enjoying the Rickroll. BT did a Flair skit on today's video as well. Yeah, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. Buzzy says, it's weird that they wanted Andrade out of Drew's way, knowing that as soon as Drew was cleared to return from injury, they just called him up and paired him with Dolph Ziggler. He wasn't injured at the time. That's the issue. The call for Andrade was planned before Drew was injured. Drew was supposed to be doing a long-term storyline with Adam Cole. That was supposed to be the main event scene for a couple of months. But then he picked up the injury. The injury is what stopped that. Noob says, it's been 6 years since Charlotte Flair's been a thing. I don't know if Charlotte won't ever want to see AEW. I know a lot of ask. I like how you managed to turn that around into an Asuka thing. Get the Table says, I'm sorry, but people who think Charlotte is going to AEW is just silly. If Cole was given that type of money deal, can you imagine what Charlotte gets? About 40% more. Kura says, 72-year-old Ric Flair in a match with Tully Blanchard and AEW. Book it! Also don't. Omega says, we're lucky to have you, Tom. Thank you, Omega. I appreciate that. Mike says, there's been a spate of journalists reporting emotionally rather than factually. I know this annoys you as much as it does me, Mags. We're quite similar in what we believe when it comes to press and the like. And yeah, there's just a hell of a lot of people either behind paywalls or behind, you have to pay for the Wrestling Observer newsletter and so on and so forth. And they're reporting things with clear speculation and opinion involved in the report. You have to separate them. You have to.